Chapter 8. Payback Time. By the time Carlito had arrived at the bus station, it was almost 2:30 in the morning. He was tired and wondered why he had made such a rash decision. His father would surely be looking for him and might even show up at the funeral. Izzy was waiting outside the bus station in an old car, and the way he looked and talked frightened Carlito. Izzy was angry. "It's payback time," he told Carlito. "Payback." He then reached over and opened the glove compartment, and there were 2 guns inside. "After the funeral, you and me and the guys are going to pay a visit to the KF boys who did this to M-Dog," spat out Izzy. "You're coming, right?" Carlito stammered out of a half-hearted yes. And they continued driving. Just then his cell phone rang. He could see from the caller ID that it was his father. He let the call go to voicemail and just stared out the windshield. "We'll hang out tonight at my house. You cool with that?" asked Izzy. Again, Carlito could barely get out an answer. "Sure," was all he could say. Izzy's house was only 2 blocks from Carlito's apartment. He wanted to go home, and he wanted to go back to his uncle's farm, and he wanted to run away from everything all at once. Izzy told him to get some sleep because the next day was going to be busy. "I'll wake you about 8. M-Dog's funeral is going to be at 10. Okay?" Izzy said. Carlito nodded, and before long he was fast asleep. When he woke, it was bright and a sunny day. He felt queasy. He had a bowl of cereal after he showered, and he got dressed. He saw on his cell phone that his father had tried calling him several times. "You know, man, this is the 3rd funeral for one of our homies since January," announced Izzy. "Really?" responded Carlito. "I can't do this anymore," Izzy said. "I hate seeing the mamas crying, the little brothers and sisters not knowing what's really happening. Do you know that they shot M-Dog point blank in the back of the head? Point blank. Those mothers are going to get it." As they pulled up to the church, Carlito could see scores of people. Members of the 20th Street gang, M-Dog's gang, were out in force. And then, standing over to the side, he saw his father. He knew he couldn't avoid him. When Izzy started to walk over to a friend, Carlito told him he had to go and speak to his dad. "Okay, man, but don't let me down. Don't let M-Dog down," said Izzy in a slightly threatening tone. Arturo saw Carlito step out of the car, and he stood waiting. "Carlito, what do you think you're doing?" asked Arturo as he walked over to his son. He was angry and tired. He looked like he hadn't slept. "They're my friends, and I need to be here with them," said Carlito. "No, they're not your friends. Real friends don't take you down this road. They take you to something better. Do you understand?" said Arturo. "Come here," he demanded in a soft voice, gesturing to Carlito to follow him. He started walking towards the back of the church. Just then the funeral cortege turned the corner, heading toward the church. A black hearse with M-Dog pulled up first, and then a black limousine with his family came up next. "Carlito, follow me right now," said his father, again in a soft but firm voice. Carlito wondered why his father was talking so softly. He found it unnerving. Soon they were behind the church, away from the crowd and everything. "Carlito, I'm going to give you a choice. It's up to you," said his father. "Listen." "I have to be with my friends," said Carlito. "No. You listen to me for 2 minutes, and then you can do whatever you want," said Arturo. "Okay, but hurry," replied Carlito. "You made a big mistake leaving your uncle and aunt like that. You made another big mistake coming to this funeral," said Arturo. "Don't lecture me," said Carlito. "Here's your choice then," continued Arturo. He put his hand out and waved one finger. "1, you stay here and go to this funeral and follow your buddies around like a stupid puppy. But if you do that, never come home again. Never see your mother. Never see Rosa or Graciela again. Understand?" "What?" said Carlito. "You're crazy." Arturo put up a second finger. 2, you come home right now and apologize to me and your mother. We stayed up all night long worrying about you, and your mother cried all night. Next, you call your uncle and aunt and apologize to them, and then you take the bus back to Fresno and go back to your life up there. You decide, and you decide now. You walk away with me now, or you never walk with me again, said Arturo, in a soft but firm voice. Carlito was completely surprised by his father's ultimatum. He didn't know what to do, but he could see that his father was serious, and he wanted an answer right now. A lot of memories flashed across his mind. He imagined his mother crying. He pictured his uncle and aunt up at the farm. He even thought of all the pigs. He thought of Marcella looking at him with her deep brown eyes, and then he decided. Okay, I'm coming with you, he said softly. His father pointed with his thumb toward the street behind the church. As they were walking, he heard Izzy calling his name. He had come to look for Carlito. Izzy yelled, "Come back!" Carlito kept walking, and finally Izzy turned around, but before he did, he flipped the finger at them and went back to the church. Father and son walked in silence back to the apartment. Arturo had made a gamble and taken a risk that his son might not come back home, but he knew that he had to do something or lose his son forever. In a way, he had no choice, so his only option was to show his son the 2 paths that were open to him. When Arturo had left home to go to church, Isabel told him, "Bring our son home." Arturo just looked at her tear-stained face and nodded. He had no idea what he would do, but he knew he would do whatever he needed to bring Carlito back home. Perhaps he was inspired to give his son a clear choice out of his desperation. When Carlito and Arturo came through the front door, his mother jumped up from the sofa and wrapped her arms around Carlito and showered him with kisses. For once he responded and embraced her back, and he felt the moist tracks of tears on his cheeks. He was crying. Now he could feel what he had felt ever since he got off the bus and saw Izzy standing at the door of the station with an angry scowl on his face. Carlito had been scared, but he didn't want Izzy or anyone else to know. He called his aunt and uncle and told them that he had made a mistake. Later, his father and Mr. Ruiz drove him back to the station where he caught the bus back to Fresno.